Hey everyone. Live on camera, very nice. This motherfucker. G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of Mark's Easy Eats. I just want to say I'm overwhelmed by all the support I've received after episode 1. I actually couldn't believe how many views I got, positive feedback. Thank you all so much for those who have subscribed. For those of you who haven't, get your ass into gear. I'm waiting for you to subscribe. Today on episode 2, I've got a special one. Today we're going for a little bit of a French inspiration. Episode 2 and 3, it's going to be part 1 and part 2 of a little bit of a French adventure. Starting today, we're going to do a steak tartare. Steak tartare is basically raw meat. Yes, you heard me, it's raw meat, and it's safe and it's fine as long as you get fresh meat. Now, what I would suggest you do is go to your butcher, tell them, hey guys, we're gonna eat this raw. Can you please give me something a bit more fresh than what you got in the window? And pray to God he goes out the back and gets you something good, not something that's gonna make you sick. Because if it's not fresh, I wouldn't recommend it. Here in Sydney, Australia, our friends at Mr. Wagyu Beef have provided us with this beautiful, beautiful eye fillet. Eye fillet is also known as a tenderloin or a filet mignon, depending where you're from in the world. Now, guys, hit them up. Sav at Mr. Wagyu Beef, thank you for looking after us. The best steak, F1 Wagyu. Let's get straight into the ingredients. So what we're gonna do today is from right to left, yes, this time. We're gonna get some gherkins. Now, these guys are like pickles, they're fine. We're gonna get capers, which is very similar. We also need some olive oil. We're gonna need some tomato sauce or ketchup, as you call it. We're gonna get a bit of Tabasco. We've got hot English mustard and Dijon mustard. We're gonna get some worcestershire sauce. Yeah, you gotta get your tongue around that one. We got some eggs, we got a shallot, and again, we got the main event, which is the beef, and obviously some parsley. All right, so with the steak tartare, basically what it is, we're just gonna finely dice up everything that we've got here. One by one, put them into this bowl, and we're gonna give it a nice mix, and it's gonna come out fantastic. So first things first, we wanna cut up the steak and put it aside. Now, my way of doing this is, I like to butterfly, just cut it in 2, and then from here, you just cut long strips. So some people might opt for a meat grinder or a meat mincer, whatever you want to call it in this case. Definitely do not do that because you're going to ruin the whole texture of the meat, especially if you're going to use a food processor. The worst thing you can do, you know, butcher this whole thing. Just doing it by a sharp knife, it is the best way. The texture comes out so good, little bits of meat. Now, once you've got them into strips like that, we line them up together. It doesn't matter how much time you take to do this, it's fine. And just give them a cut. And guys, the sharper the knife, the better for this. Now, depending on your taste and your texture, some people can do bigger blocks, some people do smaller. I personally like to really get in there and finely chop it. Make it super fine. Now, this might seem a bit tedious, and it can be a bit tedious. It does take some time, especially if you're not a professional chef who has all the knife skills in the world, someone like myself. Now, this knife is ridiculous. I just got this new knife today, guys. Oh shit, almost cut myself. I don't know what the brand is, something Shun. Very nice, very, very well recommended. Kudos. The Japanese know what they're doing. First the samurai swords, now the knives. Scotch. Not bad, Japanese, not bad. So guys, once the meat is finely chopped up and diced, something like this, something of this texture, what we can do is we're gonna put it into our bowl, and we're gonna put the tartare in like that in the center. Now I'm gonna go ahead and cut this one up, and then we'll go to the next ingredient. Alrighty, so now that we've cut up all the meat, guys, I just wanna add a quick pointer here. The reason why we've gone with the eye fillet or the tenderloin is because it's not a very well marbled piece of steak. It's very tender. So yeah, make sure you get something that's not very well marbled, just so we're eating it raw. You don't want to taste too much fat. Also, another good point is to make this easier for you to cut, apart from having a sharp knife. If this comes straight out of the fridge and you cut it straight away, makes it a bit easier, a bit more firm, a bit easier to get through. Now that's done. We'll put it in a bowl. We're gonna put it in the center, because that is our center of attention right now. Now look at that fresh meat. Look at that color. That's what you want to get. That's the color you want. Next up, doesn't matter which order you go in. Now, it is a bit tedious, this whole making of it, because a lot of preparation. There's no cooking time involved. It's just a matter of dicing up everything finally. So next on our list is a shallot. We want about a tablespoon of this shallot. And with the measurement of the meat, by the way, I'm going based on 200 grams. So depending on how much meat you're using, adjust your formula accordingly. All right, how I like to dice a shallot or an onion is it's very simple. Now, number one, we're using a sharp knife. Make sure you don't cut yourself. Please don't have any burnt fingers. Now, what I'm gonna do is do little slices like this, almost at the end, but not quite. Again, being very careful of your fingers. Now, once I've done that, I wanna go across in the middle. If you can get another one in there, great. Now, once we've done that, hold it together as best you can. And just get these little fine cuts, like that. Now we need about a tablespoon. Now the more you've diced this finely, the better. But of course, it's all to taste at the end of the day, so whatever you guys like. Once I've done that, now there's no right or wrong answer to this, guys. Again, we're not going for MasterChef. I just want a delicious meal at the end of the day though. So what I've got here is about a tablespoon. Now I know in the last video some of the measurements may have seemed a bit off, but my opinion is the bottom line. If you're meant to be a tablespoon, you put a tablespoon up, same thing, it's not that big a deal. So it's not about being a perfectionist, and a lot of people get scared of cooking because they're not able to carry out that perfectionism. But it's fine, do your best. You want to put it in there in one section here. Next up, we've got our gherkins, all right? These little pickles. Ooh. Now, the one thing with these pickles is they're very delicious. We've got to cut up about a tablespoon's worth. Just try not to eat them all first. I always get down to halfway through the jar. Okay, let's cut them. We want to finely chop these up as much as possible. The more you do it, the better. Get all that flavor up, get a nice texture in the end. I'm going to start with about this much. I think this is what's going to get us a tablespoon's worth. So yeah, just slice through them. Doesn't matter how neat, how coarse you do it. Bottom line is we're going to finely dice this up. All right, now that we've chopped up these gherkins, we want to get about a tablespoon back into that bowl. Guys, with this stuff, you want to be cooking it fresh. This is not something I would personally prepare ahead of time, especially with the steak. We're eating this raw. The more fresh, the better. All right, let's get these bad boys in there. Shallots in, gherkins in, let's move on to the next. Alrighty, so once we've done the gherkins, let's move on to the next ingredient. Dark wine, I promise, all right. Oh, there's always one. There we go. We got it, guys. Mark 1, capers 0. Here's a technique. Now, apparently to get a spoon, stick it under there. Hang on, we're gonna get this. Get a small spoon and stick it under there. We can pop this. Let's chop these bad boys up. Again, we want a tablespoon of this. Spill out the liquid, just doesn't get in your way. All right, get a few of them out there. We want a tablespoon of these guys. Now, keep in mind when we do chop them up and dice them up, they do become very small and fine. If you chop up too much, it's fine. Just get a tablespoon, get rid of the rest. All right, now that these capers are basically very finely chopped, you guys, it does help to have someone help you in the kitchen. I mean, if you have a partner or a friend come over or whoever's gonna eat this with you, you chop one thing, they chop another, have a nice conversation, have a glass of wine, get it done. All right, we're gonna need about a tablespoon of this. Again, guys, give or take, who cares? And put these finely chopped capers into the bowl. Beautiful. Add a little bit more as well because I love the flavor of it. Done. Have a look at that so far. Colors here, fantastic. Next step, we're gonna chop up, again, about a tablespoon worth of parsley. Now, let's get a pinch of these guys out. Nice and fresh, of course. Now, we wanna give these a good rinse. Again, nothing's getting cooked here, so make sure you give it a bit of a rinse. Obviously, same chopping board, same knife, who cares? You're gonna be eating it raw and all together anyway. Now, I try and get as much of the leaves off as possible. Just so I find them a bit better than the stems in this. Rough job, doesn't have to be perfect, as much as you can. Done, done, done. Parsley's gonna add a bit of freshness to this, a bit of flavor to this. What I like to do is just roll them up as best as possible, almost like you're rolling a cigar. As best you can. Get them together like that. and then get cutting. Remember, as fine as possible. You will have to go over this a few times just to get it right. It's normal, it's fine. Alrighty, now that parsley is finally chopped, again, about a tablespoon of it, we're gonna get it. I'm gonna pop it in. Alrighty, now that we've popped that in there, thank Christ, the cutting, the most tedious part is over. Firstly, I just wanna put this cutting board away, get this place a bit wiped. Now, I'm not gonna lie, after that, I'm in need of a bottle of wine. 1 second. It's nice to have a break sometimes, guys. Take it easy. Enjoy. Very good. Worcestershire sauce. Let's get a teaspoon in there, not a tablespoon, a teaspoon. Let's try this guy out. So we got a teaspoon of this. Don't want to put too much because this is very overpowering stuff, but good when it's used in the right amount. Next, we want to use about a teaspoon worth of hot English mustard. Now, my recipe, it gives us a bit of a zing. So, use with caution. If you follow me, you don't mind a little bit of a nice spice to it, a bit of a nice temperature. Trust me, just follow what I'm doing. It's going to be worth it. Next ingredient we're going to put is your Dijon mustard. Now, I don't mind splurging a bit of Dijon mustard because it's got a very nice smoothness, a very nice flavor to it. So I'm going to opt to go for a tablespoon. So let's try and find a tablespoon on this bad boy. 1 tablespoon. Done. Oops. Let's go right in there. A bit extra, doesn't matter. Dijon's always good to us. Next ingredient we're going to use after these guys is going to be Tabasco. Now, Tabasco is one of those things where it's to taste. If you don't want to add too much, you don't like the spice, once again, don't do it. I personally love a bit of Tabasco. So I'm going to put a bit in there. Let me show you how much. I'm going to put a few drops. Maybe a bit more than a few drops, so just be careful. Next ingredient is going to be about a tablespoon or so of olive oil. Just to get it in there. Give it a bit of a shine, a little bit of a taste. Done. What else have we got here? Believe it or not, we're going to chuck in some ketchup. We're going to chuck in about 2 teaspoons worth. Let's do that. So a teaspoon, that's 1. That's your second. I know it sounds odd, but you gotta trust me. It's gonna come good, I promise. The last thing, or second to last, or third to last, I should say, is we wanna add some egg yolks. Now, how I like to do that is obviously crack an egg. Oh shit, okay. Now keep going from shell to shell, trying to get rid of as much of the white as possible. So what you got left is the yellow. Now I've obviously absolutely ruined this one, but I think it's okay. The majority is in there. This one hopefully can do a better job. Again, get rid of that white. Try and keep as much of the yellow as possible, just by going from shell to shell. Just over the sink or wherever. Done. Once the majority of that white is gone and it's just the yellow left, chuck in a second one, why not? Just the egg yolk. And that one looks a bit nicer, yeah. Now, we want to put some salt and pepper into this, just to taste. I love my pepper, so I'm going to put a bit in there. Salt, crack a little bit in there. Now, we've done this. All that's left to do is mix it. Once this is mixed, the acidity of all these ingredients is going to cook the meat a little bit. But you want to eat it as quick as possible. If it stays out for too long, it's going to turn brown, it's going to lose that beautiful color, and it won't be worthwhile. Let's give it a mix. Now, if you want to use a whisk, use a whisk. You want to use a spoon, use a fork, who cares? Give that a really good mix. Get those flavors nice and incorporated in there. Guys, all be superstars. Make this at home. Let me know in the comments how you went when you've made it. Yes, I know you're going to be thanking me. You're welcome in advance. Now that is looking fan-bloody-tastic. Fantastic. So good. I want to have a bit of a taste now just to make sure salt and pepper is good. So just get a little bit. Just make sure all your flavors are good. I'm actually speechless. I'm actually bloody speechless. This is so good. Far out. All right, let's talk about plating it up. What you want to do, what I suggest we do, now it's up to you how you want to plate this or organize it. I like doing it on a wooden board. For me, that works very nice. Now, Once I've got this wooden board, there's a couple ways you can make this look nice. The first way, this is one of those egg rings. Put this down, spoon it into it, you'll get a very nice circle. Now, if you don't have one of these, I'll show you a cheat way that I've come up with, just to make it look good. So you get a bit of foil, like so. Get a little bit out there. Now what we want to do is fold it a few times, like this. Get this out of the way. Fold it a few times just to get a solid rectangular prism, or a rectangle, whatever it's meant to be, shape. Now once you've got that, give it a bit of a circle and just put it in like that. Now, once you've got this circle, put it around the center of your plate, wherever you want to put it. All right, you've got this. I think this camera can see it. And then just spoon it in. Spoon that bad boy right in. Now hopefully your circle can hold better than mine, but there we go. It's very good. So we're going to spoon this up. I'll show you exactly what it's going to look like after, and then slowly get it off. Now the circle might break a little bit, that's fine, but it's going to be a better shape than what it would have been otherwise. That is steak tartare. Now how I like to serve this, you can go a few ways. If you want to be officially French and stick with French traditions, French fries, great pairing with this sort of stuff. What I like to do is I've got these croutons, like little mini toasts. Now these, I'm just going to open this up and just place these guys around, however way you want. Serve it like this, put these crouton things around, these little biscuit sort of toasty things. Make it pretty, do what you gotta do to make it good. Now, once you've done that, the best way to eat it, just get straight into it. Now, it does look a bit gross, you can put it in small plates, but this, oh my goodness. Shut the fucking gates. That's damn good. I cannot wait till you have this. Guys, this glass of red, the perfect entree. Make it for the family, make it for anyone, make it for your dates. I guarantee you guys will get laid off, dude. This is so good. All right, guys, thanks for joining us for another episode of Mark's Easy Eats. Subscribe, do it. Part 2 is coming up. If you don't subscribe, you won't see it. And I want you to see it, because it's gonna be the same as this. Probably as good, maybe better, could be worse, but just come. Join me on the show, you're gonna love it. Let's whip a storm together. Take care, guys. Cheers.